Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 5 hours since my last confession. I've borne false witness, Father. I've lied to you, to myself. Not on purpose, I just forgot what was real. I only realised because, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've just been to Quentin's house. Elizabeth told me on the phone that he was away on business, so as I stood in the porch and knocked, I knew it would be her that answered. I didn't know what to expect. It's 2 years since we've met face to face. Since then it's all been lurking in shadows and watching from a distance. I was excited by the prospect of properly seeing her again, having a real conversation, but also slightly terrified of what might happen. It wouldn't be the first time she's thrown crockery at me. When she opened the door, I held my breath. We had to have this conversation. She'd die if we didn't, but I had a feeling she wasn't exactly going to make it easy, and I was preparing myself for a fight. I slid my foot in the gap so she couldn't slam the door in my face. She recognised me. I thought she might not. I've changed so much and it's been so long. And she wasn't exactly expecting me. But there was instant recognition in her eyes, followed almost immediately by horror. She just went, "No." She didn't try to shut the door on me. I don't think it crossed her mind. She was too shocked. I said, "Hello, Elizabeth." She was all, "This is impossible. You're dead." I was all, "Yeah, actually, I'm not. We need to talk. Can I come in?" She shook her head. Didn't say anything, just shook her head. I was all, "Look, Elizabeth, I know what I've done in the past, and I know you don't want anything to do with me, but I've stopped, haven't I? You haven't had any trouble from me for months. I'm back for a reason. We really do need to talk. Let me in. We'll have one conversation, then I'll leave, and you'll never see me again, I swear." She agreed then. Reluctantly, I think it just seemed the easier option. We went into the kitchen and she put the kettle on. We talked about my death. She'd seen the video, couldn't believe I'd survived the fall. I was all, "Neither can I." I decided not to tell her how God saved me to watch over her. I thought that might freak her out. Once the kettle had boiled, she poured us both a cup of tea and sat down. Now it was time to get down to business. I was all, "Look, the reason I'm here, you're not going to like this, but hear me out. It's about Quentin. He's planning to kill you." I was expecting her to take this badly. Actually, it was much worse. She went fucking mental. For a start, she didn't believe it. She thought I was making it up in an attempt to get back into her life. I used to do that in the old days. I'd tell her I was dying, or she was dying, or we were both dying. Anything I thought might bring us closer together. So I couldn't blame her for being sceptical about Quentin. But then she remembered the phone call where I'd made the same warning, when she thought I was Adrian Hadley. She realised that was me too. And then she remembered the other phone call she thought was Hadley, after I cooked her that meal, and realised that was me, which meant I was the one who'd broken in and made the meal, and that I must be responsible for all the other things she thought was him. The daffodils, the milk on her doorstep, Quentin's slashed tyres, the dead cockatiel. Thankfully she didn't twig that I'd burnt the house down. I knew we wouldn't get past that one. She was all, "I'd have known it was you all along if I hadn't thought you were dead." She tried to get me to leave then. I was all, "I haven't finished my tea." She was all, "Fuck your tea. You bastard. I should have known it was you. I thought it was all happening again. It started just after I'd dumped Adrian. I thought I'd picked another psycho. Jesus, he might have cheated on me, but at least he didn't." She trailed off then, and I knew why. She'd worked it out. Adrian hadn't cheated on her. It was me that planted those texts on her phone. I tried to defend myself. I was all, look, if I hadn't made you split up with Adrian, you'd never have met Quentin. She was all, you just told me Quentin's trying to kill me. Which at least got us back to the important issue, but it didn't exactly feel like progress. She was crying now. She was all, why are you doing this to me? You've made my life hell. Whatever I did, I always had to wonder if you were round the next corner, if you were watching. When I heard you were dead, my God, it was such a relief. I hadn't realized how much of a burden I was carrying around every day until it was gone. At last I could relax, sleep soundly at night. And now you're back. And I'll never get a good night's sleep again. I was all, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Really, I am. I didn't deal well with the breakup, that's all. And she said, Jesus, David, there was no breakup. We were never in a relationship. We had one date. She's right, Father. One date. That's all it ever was. I know what I said. I lied. All the stories I told you about our time together, they really happened. Some of them. But not to me. To Elizabeth, to whatever bastard she was with at the time. I was just watching from the shadows. I lied because it was nice to believe the lie. And because we'd had a proper relationship, maybe what I was doing wasn't so bad. So hard to understand, at least. To have trouble letting go after a long relationship. Anyone can sympathise with that, right? But after one date, it's just pathetic. I was a sad, lonely man. For a short time you gave me hope. You made me think maybe I could be something more. Something worthwhile. And because I'm such a bloody fool, it was easier to believe we still had something than to accept that I'd been wrong. You didn't deserve that, and you certainly don't deserve me back in your life now. But Quentin really, truly is going to kill you. And I can prove it. To her great credit, she heard me out. I explained the whole story, how he's not really a will writer, how there's no such thing as the St. Wurzel's volunteer visitor scheme, how there isn't even a St. Wurzel, how the wording of the will gave him the rights to the jingle, how one of the jingles is one of the most successful tunes of the last century. Of course, I had to explain how I knew that part, and that's where I made my mistake. She took the news that I'd been in her attic quite calmly. I think she'd already guessed as much. But I wish I didn't mention that I burnt the house down. She started screaming again then. Screaming and threatening to call the police if I didn't leave right now. In the end, I had no choice. But as she was throwing me out, just before she slammed the door in my face, I shouted, "Give Finnemore Carter Industries a call. Ask the name of the managing director. Then we'll see as a will writer." Afterwards, when I was watching through the window, she picked up the phone. I think I might have got through.